live. Okay,
There
and
you
now
go.
it says end broadcast, so I must be live. Am I live, you guys?
Yeah,
Am I
let us
live?
know.
Am I dead? Somebody here, let us know if you can hear me. We always have to check our,
It'll take a second because they have to, we should start hearing something about them hearing us here in a second.
yeah, yeah, I've got a check mark on my little camera thing.
Yep, everything's
So,
supposedly working.
okay.
Yeah, there's one. Yes, they can
Okay,
hear
so
us.
you can hear me? I need
Hearing
to
you in
turn that
Boise can hear
up.
us.
Huh?
He said
Boise,
Boise can hear.
Idaho? Boise, I
Hmm.
mean, you guys are from, now I need to turn off my phone because there's just too many things going on. Oh, it's me on the phone, you guys. So I was watching, I've got too many devices on. device, I'm device challenged. What can I say? Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. I mean, we have people from everywhere, from Montana, Boise, Idaho, up in Canada, Kentucky, San Diego, Pennsylvania. Oh my goodness, we have just so many people here. And I am here by myself, you guys. Well, kind of by myself. Stuart's on the other end. We are tethered
Like
virtually,
normal.
aren't we?
It's
Yes, yeah,
exactly, yeah, it's very much the same as normal.
yes, very much the same as normal. So he's at his house, and I am sitting in the cottage in my living room, and I'm just so glad. So we're going to try to, I'm not very good at these kind of things, so I'm going to try to answer some of your questions. I do want to acknowledge Sherry, who says she's traveling. She too is traveling a parallel path. She is going to say goodbye to a historic home of 22 years. And I've just recently, I think, have gotten so many comments from those of you who are doing the same thing. And it's intimidating and it's scary and it's exciting, and it's just all of those things. It's just a big old pot of emotion. What else can I say? But I haven't regretted it for a minute, and I hope you guys aren't regretting it either. So Stuart, we need to start taking some questions.
All right. Well, I haven't
We
found one yet either. So actually, this is where everyone can remember, if you're going to ask a question, please try to put the word question in front of it so we know that it's a question and they're a little easier to identify.
Yes,
Other than
somebody did
that,
ask.
hello to everyone. I've seen a lot of hellos to me, so I'll make sure I say hello and thank you
Yes,
for all the birthday wishes.
yes,
It really
yes.
it's pretty amazing to get that many birthday wishes. It's
Absolutely.
pretty cool.
And so, Stuart, somebody was asking earlier, how do I do a soil test? And years ago, I would request a kit from our local extension center here in Oklahoma City at OSU Tech. And now all I really have to do, apparently, we're going to do it on camera with Phoebe. I think tomorrow, maybe Stuart, or Tuesday. And we're going to take some samples out of my front yard from different areas. And I think you just put them in a quart size bag or whatever, 3 or 4 samples from different areas, and then you just take them down there. It's or you mail them in. I think it's not any big deal. And then I can't remember, but she went to school there, and so she's familiar with all of the ins and outs. It's been several years since I've done it, and they've updated their technique a little bit. But if you want to know how you do it in your neck of the woods, then you just call your extension center and they will tell you how to do it. You could probably Google it too. So there's a question here from Sherry Albritton. How can I book you to speak to a garden club in advance? That's what I would say. I have really been on the speaking tour lately. I did 2 last week. I've got 2 coming up this week. If you are at an out of state location, I'm going to be speaking in North Carolina in October. Somebody recently contacted me from Florida about for sometime next year so they could raise the funds and work on it throughout the course of the year and get me scheduled. So if it's something obviously that requires a little more coordination on my part in traveling, etc., then really book me in advance. And if it's locally, you can just send a request to support@lindavodder.com and just ask me about it. But again, I'm pretty booked for the next few weeks, and I know this is Prime Gardening Club speaking time. Jacqueline Roy wants to know, are you glad you've downsized? Well, let me put it this way, Jacqueline. I'm so thrilled we moved. I don't feel like it's downsized that much because it's very deceptive, because Stuart can tell you from the front, it definitely looks, yeah, it definitely looks like a little cottage. But once you get inside, it feels much larger. So it's not that much smaller. It's only about 200 square feet smaller than where we were. And a lot of that space was not used very frequently. You know, it was a guest bedroom and it was hallways and things like that. Do I ever walk by the old house? Not recently. I have driven by a couple of times, but I'm really trying to explore my own neighborhood. And lately I haven't had a lot of time to even do that because I've just been so busy. I have to be here for a lot of the goings on here at the cottage. And like I said,
that's an understatement, right?
Yeah, that's an understatement.
There's a lot of goings on at the house. Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of going on everywhere. Oh, and by the way, speaking of, my garden journal is going to be coming out in April too. And my friend Klaus Dalby has a book coming out. I wrote the foreword for that. And then I'm just trying to create my garden here. So lots of stuff going on. I'm very, very busy, but I have driven by, and I know I'll be driving by next Wednesday because I'm going to visit a friend of mine that lived across the street and go see her husband in memory care with her. So I'll see it. I have 13 siblings. Are you the baby of your family? And how many siblings do you have? I have 9 siblings, and I am right in the middle in this order: Beth, Terry, Joe, Kay, Linda. So I'm number 5. Dave, Barb, Martin, Meg, and Tommy. And if you're like me with so many siblings, you have to go through that order every time to figure out kind of where you are in the scheme of things. I do have something exciting to share, though. I don't know how many of you follow Loy from Tone on Tone on Instagram. He has a charming cottage in Annapolis, Maryland, and also a wonderful home in Maine. His Instagram is absolutely fabulous. I visited with him last week. He is the youngest of 12. And we're going to do some kind of collaboration with him. And I'm going to try to get him to do a tour of his cottage there. He's just charming. He is topiary obsessed, as am I. And so that's going to be really fun. Let's see. I have a 20-year-old Jane Magnolia. Is it too late to start pruning her up? I don't think so. I would do it slowly, and do it conservatively. Just start out at the bottom, then stand back, look at it, trim off a little bit more, stand back. And what might be helpful to you is I am going to be pruning on the Yopon hollies that I have on the east side of my front yard. I'm going to be doing I've already started actually, but I'm going to be doing a little trimming on those, and it might help you with my methodology of how I work on that. The other thing that might be helpful is if you go back through the playlists. I've done it many times before, pruning up the viburnum, pruning up boxwood. We pruned up a number of different things. And if you go back through some of those videos, I think you'll find them pretty instructive. Would I share a few details about your plans for the backyard of the new cottage? Yes. This is...
Your face lights up. It's fun.
I know, my face lights up. Thinking about it. It lights up more when I think about having it finished. But right now, my priority is the front. The backyard will very much be an outdoor dining area, or outdoor living area, I should say. And there won't be any or little to no grass. It will be kind of a living area right in the center that will be surrounded and kind of circumscribed by shrubs and flowers and all sorts of things. And then in the back, against the back fence, I think I'm going to have some metal raised beds in kind of a gray color. This is what I'm thinking now, that match the colors of my house. and punctuated with certain ornamentals, I might. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Maybe a climbing rose or two, but it will be just more of an outdoor living room. And a lot of you have addressed the fact that, oh, the patio on the front doesn't have a lot of privacy. And I don't know who gave it this moniker. One of the followers, she said she understood what my intent was, that it was in the front. It's more like just a social patio where 4 or 5 people can get together and have a glass of wine. I've noticed, though it's a muddy mess right now, when Hubs and I sit outside with our coffee or our glass of wine in the evening, so many people just walk up and say hello. They'll have their dogs, they'll introduce their dogs, they'll welcome you to the neighborhood. It's been absolutely charming. And that pretty much is our intent with that. When I have larger groups, or when I am in my pajamas or just piddling, that's when I'll be in the backyard with a little bit more privacy. So it too, believe me, I'll share it all with you, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I have a question ready, but I wanted to say something because as we anticipated, there are a lot of questions about how you feel about the move and the old home and all that.
Okay.
And so I thought, since there's so many questions about that, we may hold off on that till, I wanted people to know we're not trying, to not talk about that, but maybe give you a minute at the end to talk about the old house and answer some of these other questions. Is kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, I want to
answer there's a lot of questions about it, so that's why I was making sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. How did you decide what to keep, what to get rid of? Tips, tricks would be helpful, especially after 60 nostalgic with the parents gone and children and adults. Well, first of all, I had, to the extent possible, I had my kids go through things that would be very nostalgic. Like, I think I've talked about it before. Their books. Books for me are always the biggest thing because I am just a book hound. So for them, books. And then I just asked them what was important to them and what wasn't. And that we kind of winnowed their stuff down that way. My son that lives in Denver, he took some of his stuff with him. And so my son in Singapore, I'm hoarding more things for him because he has documents and books, and when he was working on his graduate degree and studying overseas, that he really wants to hold on to. In terms of my house, it was just what would fit and what worked, a little trial and error we kept, and then whatever didn't work, either stayed in the garage for a while to see if it would fit, or then if it didn't work, we either gave it away or we sold it in consignment. Sadly, no matter how valuable something is, you're not going to get a whole lot when you have to sell it through a consignment because, they take a big chunk. And I didn't have the time or the bandwidth to do it on Facebook or anything like that. A lot of it I gave away to friends. Stuart, you got several things, I think.
Oh yeah, more than several.
Yeah, your mom Susu got some things. So that way I know they're in good hands. When are we going to take a look at your new plants?
Today.
Well, okay, great segue into today's episode, because it's all about the big, I say Southern Living truck. In this case, it had a huge Encore azalea on the side because I kind of swing both ways with them. And it was so fun. It was so fun. The driver got involved. People were looking up and down the street, what's going on? Because seldom is there a semi truck at a residential address unloading a bunch of plants. And boy, were there a bunch of plants. It was Christmas in March. It was so damn fun. If I do say so myself. And watch the video today because you'll get to experience it along with me. And then make sure you watch till the end because I reveal what the color of the window box is. Yes. How does Love like the move? I can see the joy in your face, but we don't see him often. He just doesn't like to be on screen, does he, Stuart? He just he has always he just likes to be kind of elusive. He likes being a man of mystery. He thinks he's from that, what's that commercial, the most interesting man in the world.
He's pretty interesting.
He's pretty interesting.
He's a cool dude.
He's a pretty cool dude. Very, very well traveled. I've said this before, I'll say it again. The most geographically literate person I have ever met, and knows traveling, has been everywhere, has fished everywhere. And as you know, he's getting ready to go on another fishing trip in Mexico. He likes being the great man of mystery, and he is very happy to be Hubs. he is just very happy to be Hubs, and for me to do the heavy lifting right now. So by the way, he's thrilled. He is thrilled. He loves not having to go up and down the stairs.
That's good.
Yeah, he loves not having to go up and down the stairs. He wishes I would cook for him more. He thought, oh, she's going to get a whole new kitchen and she'll cook for me more. But then I would kind of wish he would cook for me more too. And right now we've just been so busy. Neither one of us is doing a lot of cooking. Another impediment is I've got this great big fancy new stove and range and everything, and the calibration is off on my oven. So I have to have that addressed. It's like 50 degrees off. So if you guys know anything about that, I think it's something that I have to have somebody service it to adjust. But if anybody out there knows anything about it, please let me know. Patience in gardening, how do you try to price within your yard? Also in North Carolina. Well, I think this time I talked ad nauseum at the other house about how it took such a long time. It took 30 years. I was patient. I was learning as I went. And now I've kind of got a good bit of that learning curve behind me. And I'm also 30 years older, 35 years older, and I don't have that much time to let it mature. And so in many ways that old garden kind of is helping pay for a more mature garden here. But I can do a little bit different kind of style and design, even though it's very much an English garden. And a couple of people have said, well, I thought you wanted a Spanish garden. I thought you wanted a different, and I did, and I would still like one. But first and foremost, I believe in that the garden is an extension of the home and matches the style of the home. And the style of this home is very, very English and very cottagey. And so that dictated the kind of garden I have. And I love my English cottage garden. And it's made it easier for me to bring back a lot of the features that I loved in the other house. It's been very easy for me to replicate some of my most loved features. What type of boxwood plant do you use in the garden? Well, this time I'm so excited because for the first time ever, I am using a new line of boxwood that I'm going to be the spokesperson for, Better Boxwood. It's 4 different varieties, all of which, after 2 to 3 years of scientific research, has been bred to be blight resistant over in Belgium, I believe. So I'm planting a lot of that in my front yard, and you'll see it. Some of them aren't as large as I would like because, again, these are new plants. But I'll be talking about that quite a bit. And then some of you know that I brought some of my buddies, my friends, my little boxwood villages. I'm relocating a couple of the boxwood villages over here because I just love them so much. Will you do a lot of herbs in your garden, and what is your best performer? Oh, I couldn't live without doing herbs. Now, just as a heads up, those will go in a little bit later because right now I'm just working on the infrastructure, the blooming shrubs, the evergreens, the hollies, the boxwoods, those kinds of things. Donna, was that? Yeah, that was from you, Donna. And so, yes, but it'll go in a little bit later. Some of my go-tos that I absolutely have to have are dill, though normally I would have it seeded by now. So that may be seeding in the fall, but dill, absolutely, basil, thyme. I'm planting thyme in between some of the flagstones, oregano, and then I'll definitely have to have peppers. So just and then there'll be some that I'll just have just because I like the way they look, lavender and things like that. Hazel wants to know, how are you going to keep the weeds out of your new patio in front? Well, the same way that I did out of the flagstone and patio and brick areas that I had at my other home, and that's observation and just picking them when they're small. And I plan on spending a lot of time on that patio, so hopefully it won't be an onerous thing because I'll just be out there. Secondly, with boiling water, it will be a challenge because I'm not having a lawn. I will not be having any faux turf here. And I think that because of that, it will be more of a challenge, and it will be a learning curve. And of course, as I learn, I will share it with you. I'm considering gravel as mulch. But again, I like to plant things pretty densely, and the more densely you plant, the less opportunities there are for weeds. Backyard in Florida, what kind of music do you like? Well, if you listen to any of the music,
by the way.
yeah, Stuart loves this question. And by the way, Stuart is quite the musician, and is composing some of his own music right now. But he will tell you that I love piano music. My favorite things that I listen to, and I love this idea. I'm going to be
She's an
sharing.
Linda, you're an expert Amazon Alexa player.
Like
she has the best Alexa stations.
Yeah.
When you go to her house, it's just always some amazing music playing. It's like, how do you do this?
Well, you just tell Alexa to do it.
I know, you do it. I tell her that all the time, and it's never that good. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
Just a lot of thumbs up and thumbs down, and over time it kind of weans out what you like and what you don't like. In general, I love piano music. I just love piano music. And so my go-to for when I'm working is classical focus. I listen to the classical focus station on Pandora, or I will just say I love Klaus Debussy and Klaus Debussy. And so I will a lot of times just play a station with that. I love golden oldie tunes. So I will say just play a 1940s playlist, or play the Tony Bennett station, or play Eva Cassidy, or sometimes recently I've been listening to a lot of Lady Gaga. It just kind of depends. If I'm cleaning the house, it's kind of Lady Gaga. So I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. My husband loves to listen to Cuban music and Italian music. Oh, I love what I'm listening to a lot right now is the Pink Martini radio on Pandora. I love that. I love French music. So a lot of times I will listen to a station called Carla Bruni. And it plays lots of French music, Italian cafe. So those are just some of them. Karen wants to know, how have I modified my garden plant selection given the very hot, prolonged summers you have? That is an ongoing thing. It really is an ongoing thing. I don't plant a lot of annuals. I am planting more blooming shrubs. I'm constantly editing out what doesn't work and planting more of what does. Sadly, the spectrum of plants here in Oklahoma, I was helping on a landscape design for a friend of mine in Nichols Hills with her landscaper. And we were talking about how the repertoire of plants just is so much smaller than it used to be, not only because of our extremely high temperatures, but also the extremely low temperatures. So last year got down to -18 and up to 115. So I anticipate that a lot of this stuff that I plant's going to die. I mean, I just expect it, and I'm just going to try to do the best I can to take care of it and give it lots of TLC and still live a life where I'm not a slave to the garden. So it's just, and I prioritize for spring and fall. Can you take
Linda,
hold
on 1 second. I need you to thank Mary Mom. She did a super chat for $9.99 for us.
Oh, Mary Mom, thank you for a super chat. Stuart, I'm never really sure what that is. So can you explain what that is?
It's an option to kind of, help out and just
and support the channel. I think it's some kind of monetary thing or whatever. But what it also does is it prioritizes yours. And I don't think we do this. I think the algorithm.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. That's a good point. It absolutely puts the comment at the top, and her comment is, "Can't wait to see the boxwood go in."
Okay, and I can't either, and I'm hoping that will be next week. I honestly can't wait for anything to go in. We had up that temporary fence to protect the walkway, but as of Tuesday, and it, by the way, it blew down. It's been incredibly windy here, and this is my opportunity to give a shout out to all of you in Kentucky, in Little Rock, in Indiana. My hometown of Martinsville, Indiana, got hit by a tornado. My sister up who has a lake house up at Lake Ten Color, she had a huge tree come out and almost hit her house. So my thoughts and prayers to all of you around the world. Flooding in California. My goodness, it's just one thing after another, isn't it? But yes, but I digress. If you ask a question and it's a super chat or whatever it's called, it goes to the top and prioritizes it, because there's so many questions that come in, and we want to. I want to be able to answer that.
Thank you for clarifying that, because that was, I should have said that. And I got
Can you take a shape? Yeah. Can you take a shaped Yopon holly and make it look natural, or no shape? Sure. Just if it's shaped like, sometimes you see them in like a big gumdrop or whatever, and that's just that you resist pruning it. So when it starts setting out those, it's like a ball, and then there'll be, a piece that comes up. You have to resist clipping off that piece and then start thinning it out. And again, I'll try to demonstrate that. And keep it pruned below a certain level, and then let the canopy take over and just let it, kind of begin to ebb and flow. And that's what I'm going to do with mine. Mine right now look a little constipated. I want them to not only grow up and straight, I want them to start going out like that. And they will over time. Altagracia Varga, I have no idea how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, dear. How do you keep yourself so young and beautiful and fresh? Well, I should have answered. That should have been at the very top, Stuart. At the very top.
I knew you.
At the very top. Yeah. Do your job. Well, thank you. Thank you. I think gardening helps, but I do try to take good care of myself. I mean, I do out of good, clean living. It's a part of living a garden-inspired life. I want to be able to continue to garden into my dotage. And so I want to take care of myself and physically be able to do that. In addition, I'm like most of you, I'm vain and I want to stay looking good. I think taking pride in your appearance, and I don't mean that in any kind of condescending way, whether it's a very natural look, whether it's or a less natural look, very professional, or more bohemian. I love all of those different styles. There's no one right way or wrong way. There, as I've said over and over again, there's no one form of beauty. But I do think when you look at someone, you can tell if they're expressing their style and if they care about taking care of themselves. And I think that manifests itself. But I do, I do get regular facials. I use teeth whitener, all those kinds of things. I have microdermabrasion, and I use a good quality skincare. I exercise. Stuart can tell you that I exercise, and I have to tell you, I'm still getting back in shape after my surgery last year, and I'm still not really back to where I was. And then also, I think moving really got me out of some good patterns that I'd established, and I'm working on that. And I meditate, and I think that helps a lot. Scott wants to know, will your garden journal be on your QVC line? I don't think so. But you'll be able to get it on Amazon. You'll be able to get it hopefully at your local bookstore. Ask your local bookstore if they don't carry it, your independent bookstores. It definitely will be here. And by the way, I don't know who out there all is buying it, but my book sales on Amazon have really kind of blown up recently. And I just had 2 talks where I sold a box of books at each one. And I think, and it's a perfect companion piece to the garden journal. And by the way, it's going to be a 5-year garden journal with illustrations, all of which are illustrations from iconic, they're drawings from iconic images that Stuart has taken, or places in my garden. So thank you for asking, Scott. Pearl, yes, Pearl's on Tuesday. Oh, I like that. I know that you spend a great deal of your time being Linda Botter for all of us. What kind of things do you and Hubs enjoy doing together? Does not involve gardening. I would say reading is one of them. We're both huge readers. So that, first and foremost, I would say that. Hubs really likes to take road trips. I'm not quite as patient to do that as I used to be because I'm so busy. But we like to take backcountry roads, and we love to do hiking. We do like to travel. My husband likes to go to prehistoric sites and historic sites, and we really enjoy doing that. He's a fly fisherman. We love going to state parks and things like that. We camp when we can. Sometimes we'll go and listen to live music. We love exploring our neighborhood. We love going to bookstores. We love going to visit our kids. Stuart, you know us well. What do we do when I'm not being Linda Botter?
Linda has a big group of friends that are really
I
close.
do, yes.
And
Yes.
they gather. I mean, aside from some of the time recently, they gather a lot, and they meet a lot. Linda's a good friend to a lot of people. It's kind of an understatement.
I'm very fortunate to have really good friends, and I have a huge family, so I spend a lot of time just kind of corresponding with them. So that's kind of what we do.
Let me change it. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, I need a new question.
I was getting behind. Oh, here we go. This is one I wanted to show.
Aussie girl. Hi, Marianne. Weather's lovely for autumn, warm and sunny. Oh, how nice.
Oh, I found you
Linda,
one.
what? Oh, good. Okay, Betty in Arlington. What will you do with the shelf above the stove? Can you have a cut on either side? Love the side shelving. Best wishes on the new home. You know what? One of the reasons I love my friend John Turnham. First of all, I had a quote on getting that covered in stainless steel, and it was astronomical. And I just decided that was not a financial priority for me. I'm like all of you. I have to, decide what I want to spend my money on and what I don't. And I have found that, especially lately, first of all, I haven't even been near inclined to use any of the back burners. And so that hasn't been an issue. And I've only kind of used the front burners. And so my friend John, in his wisdom, he said, you know what? They said it was safe. And with no more cooking than you're doing right now, just leave it as it is. And if it becomes a problem, then address it then. But it looks to me like it's not going to be that much of an issue. And so I'm just, sometimes it's important to live in a space before you make any great changes. And that was going to be a really expensive change. So we have made some other changes, however. We're still waiting for the casement windows in the great room. I'm still waiting on some furniture, a settee here for in the parlor or the drawing room. And I have gotten, Stuart, we still haven't revealed, I've gotten my kitchen table and bench. And so there's we still have to we have to reveal that. You can see behind me, I got my bar stools that I just absolutely love. And I can't tell you how much fun I have every week, kind of like how in a restaurant and a bar, they always have gorgeous fresh flowers and things. I can't tell you how much joy it gives me to think about and plan what is going to be that great big arrangement that's on the corner of my marble island. Alice,
I want to point this out as well with Alice. I wanted to show you a comment of hers because she's doing a very accurate job of answering questions people are getting, or that we're not getting to. So I just want to say thank you to Alice for that.
Alice, thank you. They kind of just come in a landslide, and thank you. And by the way, you guys are so good about commenting. When I ask for your opinion, you give it. And I sometimes agree and I sometimes don't agree, but I love to hear how your mind works, because God knows I share how mind works, scary as that is. And I love, I hope I never appear defensive about things you say. Have I thought about this? Have I thought about that? Because sometimes I haven't gotten to it. Sometimes I haven't. But things like, but your comment, I just love, like the person who dubbed that the social patio. So now I think of that as the social patio. And other people who say, oh, you shouldn't leave your pruners out like that, pointy up. Well, I hadn't even noticed that the guys had moved, those, because sometimes I'm thinking about what I'm doing. I'm not thinking about what you all are seeing. And so I really like that. And I also, a la Alice here, when you answer questions, because someone made a comment. Now this did stick in my craw a little bit, and they said, Linda, if you would answer more of your comments, then you might have more followers. It would be a nice thing to do. Well,
it's hard.
When you get over 1,000 comments, and it's not just comments I get on YouTube. I get comments from Instagram. I get comments in my inbox. I get comments in a million different places. So I could spend my life doing nothing but answering comments. I read as many of them as I can. I try to really prioritize those of you guys that are members, because you've been following along in my journey for a very long time. I consider you really great friends. I consider all of you friends. But when you chime in, and for new followers who want to know, is Stuart Linda's husband, and you answer on our behalf, that is so helpful.
Oh, it's really helpful.
It is so helpful when you answer common questions like, did Linda have faux turf, and how did she decide that? Or when you answer questions that those of you who've been a part of this journey for a long time, I cannot tell you how helpful that is, and how nice it is. It's just thoughtful and considerate. And one kick I got out of it too. Yeah. Chelsea. Oh my gosh, Chelsea. Let's all give a shout out to Chelsea, who is getting ready to move to Germany. Chelsea became a friend of our lives in real life and in virtual life when she was driving by the other house one day, and we assaulted her and asked her if she wanted to be in a video with us. Remember that, Stuart?
It's funny.
And she,
yeah, cool. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we accosted her and drug her in front of the camera. And she came and she did a couple of videos, and she now has worked down at Myriad Gardens, and now she's going to start a garden in Germany. She came over last week and brought me a candle and some Prosecco, and we just had the loveliest chat. She brought me some thyme for my garden. And so if you often wonder, are these people really friends of yours, Linda, or are you just making like they do on the news and you're pretending like these people are your friends? No, they truly are. They truly are friends of ours, aren't they, Stuart?
They are. All right, I got to find you a question now. I got behind. Sorry.
So I started to say,
and whenever you want to address the old house stuff, you can. I know I told everybody we were going to hold off and let you kind of just. Okay, I mean, all the questions are kind of the same. I mean, I can put some on the screen, but I think you kind of know what everybody wants to know.
Yeah. Okay. So, well. Patricia's catching her first live show. Welcome, Patricia. And okay, here's another comment that I want to make.
Okay.
As I was before we got on, I lost one of my. Did you lose me, Stuart?
I don't think so.
Okay,
nope.
I'm back. I lost one of my air things. But as so many of you were getting involved even before we went live, and you were chatting back and forth, across the country, making connections, communicating back and forth. That does my heart such good, because God knows I have made friends around the country and around the world. Did somebody ask me a question about Klaus Dalby recently? He's coming out with a book on cottage gardens, and the publisher, who also publishes my books, publishes his books, and she asked me to write the foreword for it. And I was very, very honored to do it. What a lovely, talented man. Hi, Linda. Can you say hello to my beautiful wife, Tracy? Hello, beautiful wife, Tracy. Tracy Bullington, I'm going to guess. What a sweet husband you have to call you beautiful and for me to say hello. How lovely. Will John be helping further with decorating in your new home? A lot of the things that I needed questions on, he has helped him, but the answer is yes. And yes, we will be going back over to his house. And recently I've maybe lost a little bit of momentum on the inside because number one, I've been doing taxes. And that has been a big thing. And number two, it's spring and I've really been concentrating on the outside. So it kind of ebbs and flows. It probably does that with you guys too, your interior versus your exterior life. And I've been very busy. I've done lots of podcasts, lots of radio shows, lots of things like that. Am I okay answering a question on boxwood, Stuart? Yes.
Okay.
And yes, John will be. I'm getting binged and banged and everything from all over the place.
All right, here we go then. All right, 1 second.
Okay.
Where'd it go? There we go.
Oh, am I heartbroken? The protege you worked so hard on is no longer. No, I'm not heartbroken. I was shocked that I think that it came out so soon. And I think my overall thing is I'm not heartbroken over any of the changes. Sydney and Tommy have great taste, and it is their home now, and they need to put their interpretation and their stamp and their signature touches on that home. And I think I had been emotionally detaching from that house for quite a while. And some of you who followed my channel, you would hear me make references to, we're kind of looking around it in my next garden. And was I shocked? Yeah, because it's just weird to see something like that. But many of you followed along the pilgrimage of the boxwood, and you knew that the fence needed to be replaced. The fence on two sides needed to be replaced. There were infrastructure things. And I began to feel, I guess here's my sentiment about that. I began to feel that I had optimized what I could do in that location, at that house. I had brought it to the pinnacle of what my vision was for that house. And from now on, it was going to be maintaining it at that level, and also just taking care of weather damage, replacing fences that I had already replaced once. You know, I was there for 35 years. And the tree needed work. And I wanted that it was starting to feel a little bit like more of a burden to me than a joy. And if I have communicated anything recently since moving to the cottage, I have refound my enthusiasm and I signed my books, Garden with Joy and Childish Delight. And I have recaptured that. And I was beginning to lose it over there for a number of different reasons. I think and the other thing was, when I wrote that book, it was like signed, sealed, stamped, and delivered. It was my homage to that garden, to that book. And it was time for me to move on. And
what a great way to kind of end it, right?
Yeah, to end it. And the neighborhood was changing, and a lot of my friends weren't there anymore. And I wanted a more walkable neighborhood that had more of an urban vibe. My home here has sidewalks. I loved Crown Heights. You guys know I loved it. But I can't believe I'm saying this. This neighborhood is even more friendly than Crown Heights. It has so many more children that give me great joy to watch. It has just a youthful vibrancy and vitality and intelligence that I just really like. And so I just like being part of the cultural scene down here, if that makes sense. And so it shocked me a little bit. I think what would kill me would be if the tree came down. And I knew at some point that that was going to happen. I hope it's not imminent. I know she's treating it for boars, somebody told me. So I
Well,
don't think that's imminent, but it was also important for me that that did not happen on my watch, that tree did not come down while I was at Stewart. And
and that was
so
something that you said a lot too, was that that tree was kind of coming down naturally.
slowly, yeah, slowly
And
over
that was so
time.
hard for you to watch. And that's
It
kind of
was.
another.
Yeah, it really was. And I was ready to reinvent myself. And somebody asked me, how do I stay youthful and energetic and
Yeah, there you
healthy?
go.
And it's this is one way, is I'm looking forward now. I'm not looking back. And I wish them well, and they will put their own stamp on it. And I know it was hard for some of you who had really, and I'm very
All of
sensitive to that, who
all of
really
us.
had gotten, yeah, all of you who had gotten
Yeah.
so attached to it and maybe didn't have the same opportunity that I had to detach over time. And I think I had the opportunity to do that and work through it with my family too. So that's kind of that. But I wish them well. I wish them well. And
Oh, we
I've
love
moved
them. They're
on.
so, yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah,
really do love them. Yeah, they're great people.
and I'll be honest, I haven't, this is, I really haven't had a chance to really look at much of it. The spring is my busiest time. I barely have time to breathe. Stuart will tell you.
You
Um,
haven't been that busy.
it- yeah, yeah. Sharon, is your new neighborhood an historic neighborhood? Yes, it is, Sharon. And this neighborhood is older than my old neighborhood. So this one, like this property where the cottage was, the chain of title shows that it was purchased in 1900. So this area was a precursor even to Crown Heights. And I met the loveliest woman. These are the kind of encounters I just love. There's an alley behind my house, and I was walking down the alley, as one does, to cut some branches off of some trees for my Easter flower arrangement. And I wanted some branches that just had new leaves on them. And I was walking down the alley to do that. And a woman came out of her garage at the same time I came out of mine. And she just said, hello, my name is Gail. And I said, hello, Gail, my name is Linda. And how many times have you been told you look just like Helen Mirren? And she was absolutely delightful. She invited me to see her backyard. She took me through her charming stone cottage that was built in 1903 and had so many of the original doors, woodwork, architectural detailing. She told me about the history of that house. It was just absolutely delightful. And she will be joining me soon on the social patio for a glass of wine. So I have those kind of encounters all of the time. A lot of people know me before I know them because of this YouTube channel, and it's just I love it. I love going to the bookstore and talking with people about what they're reading. And I went recently to one of our favorite restaurants in the neighborhood that we go to is at Cheever's. Oh gosh, they have the best food. Shout outs to Cheever's. Their food
Oh,
is
it's pretty good.
incredible. But also it has a history, a floral history, and some of the wine is stored in what used to be the flower refrigerators. And so I just got to visit with Dylan there, and we're going to be going there, and I'm going to get behind the bar, Stuart, and we're going to make some spring cocktails.
Hey, there you go.
And that's just in my neighborhood. And so it is so rich.
Oh, and somebody asked earlier how far you are from the old neighborhood, and it's close, but you got closer to all this stuff than you even were before. Yeah.
Right. So I was on 40th and I'm on 18th Street now. So you can figure out, that you can count the blocks, and it's within walking distance. But now I can walk to festivals that are downtown. I can walk to Myriad Gardens. I can walk to it's a little bit long walk, but I can walk to the downtown library. I can walk to, well, when we walk in the marathon, Stuart, in the Oklahoma City Marathon, probably I'll walk from my house to walk to the starting point for the Oklahoma City Marathon. I can see from my front porch, I can see the tallest tower west of the Mississippi, the Devon Tower, illuminated at night. And yet it feels like you are in a Norman Rockwell painting when you are here. I kid you not. It feels like a Norman Rockwell painting to live in. I just can't speak highly. I sound like a Chamber of Commerce commercial. And I've already done an interview with one of the local magazines here and met a new friend who not only is editor for the magazine, but is a sommelier. And so we're going to meet with her, I think, on the social patio and talk about some inexpensive house wines that you can select from Trader Joe's and other places. Christina, will you do another collaboration like you did with Klaus and Laura? Love you, Linda. Me and my mom watch all the time. Oh, thank you, Christina. Definitely with Klaus. As I said earlier, I'm writing the foreword to his book. Yes, I will. I'm going to do collaborations with them. I'm going to do a lot of collaborations. It does take time to set up collaborations because you're working with multiple people's schedules. And I really want to feel before I do that I have a garden to contribute as much as a garden to exploit. And right now I don't have a garden yet. So my priorities are selfish. I want to get my garden set up first, get my taxes done, and and just kind of get settled in. Stuart, do you have another question for me?
Oh,
I'm doing a poor job. Did I talk about what?
There's one on the screen. Did you already read it?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I'm caught not paying. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Linda from Vancouver Island in Canada. So many. We have so many followers from Canada, and I cannot tell you how touching that is and how much I love visiting your country. Just love it, and I hope to go back again. And by the way, Tara Bloom, the producer that I work with at Channel 4, she's from Canada. So, and I think she's from Vancouver. Lots of Carolinians also, and Oregonians. I hear you loud and clear, Garden Buddies. Indianapolis, of course, I have a fond spot in my heart for anybody from Indiana, from New Jersey. My goodness, Stuart. Ohio's represented. Rockford, Illinois is represented. My gosh. Oregon again. It was shocking to see the potager gone, but the new raised beds will give it the same feel. Yeah, change is just hard. Change is, it's just hard, but it's the only thing that's constant. Stuart and I say that to each other all the time. The only thing that remains the same is change.
The only thing that stays the same is change.
Yes. Did you have to get the historic property folks to approve your front garden changes? I haven't so far, though I have met with them. I haven't so far because I haven't done anything that really requires changing. So I haven't built any new permanent structures. Like a lot of you suggested, I need to put up some awnings and I need to put up some gutters and things. All of that would require HP approval. The gutter thing, I'm still thinking through. Even the awning thing, but I've got other fish to fry first. And like the patio I could do because it was soft set. It's nothing that's raised above the surface. I can't change anything about the contour or the rolling terrace because that is an initial design feature of those who developed this area to begin with. And that is and that is very much a feature of this garden. Some of you have commented on some of the houses around me that need some work. All of these houses around me are being like, there's 2 or 3 right across the street that are going through a complete renovation inside and out. So sometimes they look a little unkempt because they're just in that process. That's just how it is. Just like mine was in that state for a long period of time. But just since I've moved in, I can't tell you how many the changes in people's yards that have taken place. And people have already asked me, advice and things, but a lot of it also is, this is a very young neighborhood with lots of young families and young kids, and they're busy raising lots of kids. But it's fun, and it's just so fun to see the transformation. It's and people who are, if you go down about a block to the east of me, the houses are extremely large, extremely grand, much more gentrified, older. And the further east you go, it's much more youthful, maybe, and more hip, and more younger families. There's a park to the east of me. So it's fun to be at the nexus of those two different lovely vibes. I'm just a lucky lady. Who is your best friend? Has she been on YouTube? Well, I have many, many dear friends, but I would have to say my bestie is probably my friend Deborah. She has not been on camera, and she doesn't particularly want to be on camera. But let me tell you, I read an article in the Atlantic recently about being intentional of moving near those you love and within walking distance of your friends. And it was very much a consideration in this move, because I live on 18th Street. She lives on 16th Street. I've said it many times. Her daughter lives on one end of my street. Her son lives on the other end of the street. I could borrow her grandkids. She walks her dog over here, and every time I see her little blonde head in my circle window, it gives me a jolt of joy. She brings me gifts. I bring her gifts. We walk someplace for lunch. She tells me what's going on at the local art gallery. And as a side note, she introduced my husband and myself. And her husband and my husband go all the way back to when their mothers were in the womb together. So they have known each other all that way, back to an embryonic relationship, literally. And they all three grew up in Enid, Oklahoma, though I met Deborah many, many years ago through an old boyfriend. And that's how we became friends, was through an old boyfriend who at that time worked with her husband, and ditched the boyfriend but kept the friend. So, what native plants will be using to help the pollinators? Hi from Central Illinois. So I'm putting in a lot of native vars right now, and then once I get my infrastructure in place, Beth, I will be taking a trip to Bustani Farm. Stuart and I have been there before. We did a video there. Go back and watch it. And I'm going to be going there with my friends Roger and John, and we're going to go to Bustani, and that's where I will pick out natives. At that time, I'll see how much space I have left, kind of how the color scheme is going together, and at that point. But probably right now, I love the way Echinacea coneflower looks on the prairie with Liatris with gay feather. And I love the way that grows on the prairie together. And so it'll be probably some of that, asters, some native asters. So that's the direction that I'm leaning. My color palette probably isn't going to change too much from what I had at the other house. I am going to plant lots of pollinator-friendly plants, buddleias, salvias, veronicas. I'm going to plant some blueberries, some edibles in the back. And it should be fun to see how it unfolds. So stay tuned. It's going to be, in some ways, as much of a discovery for me as it is for you. Stuart, what other questions do we have?
We have a few in here. We are getting close to an hour. I don't know how.
Okay, I want to comment on one here, and now of course I've lost it. Julianne Mazzoni says, sounds like you had reached the end of your season at the fairy tale house. And that is exactly how I would put it. I had reached the end of the season, and one of the things I'm going to be talking about this fall is 4-season gardening, both practically and metaphorically. And I was at the season where it was time to make a change. So thank you, Julianne, for your poetic observation. I think I had reached the end. Will you do another collaboration? Yeah, I've already answered that. Are you going to plant any sort of plant in your new garden you haven't had in your previous one? Yes, I am. I didn't have lots of buddleias in my other garden. And so I'm going to be planting that. I'm going to be exploring new plants from Bustani that I haven't. I'm trying some new abelias that I heretofore haven't tried. Obviously, some new boxwood varieties that I haven't tried. And probably some more pollinator-friendly plants that I haven't tried. Those, again, I'm going to get kind of my infrastructure in first, my evergreens and my flowering shrubs. So yes, I'm sure I will be planting things that I haven't tried before. But I also go back to the fact that in Oklahoma, you also plant what you know to be tried and true. And so I'll be doing that. More drift roses, encore azaleas. I'm going to be trying some new hydrangeas I haven't tried before. And so yeah, so lots of those kinds of things. Stuart, what else do we have here?
I'm sure there's more questions I've missed. I found some new strategies for saving questions, but so
question: I have allergies and cannot tolerate heat, but would love to have beautiful plants and shrubs. What are some easy to care for plantings that do not require a lot of pruning? Well, I would say just go with lots of the flowering shrubs. Encore azaleas, abelias don't have to be pruned, and if they do, it's just kind of like a one time of year thing. Many of the viburnums, Stuart, here's your opportunity to give a shout out to your Chinese snowball viburnum.
Probably the coolest plant I've ever seen.
I definitely try that. Lots of the viburnums, the Weigelias. Oh, definitely the Weigelias. I would try that. Have I heard of Sunflower Steve? Check out his fabulous sunflowers. I have not, but Stuart, we need to check out Sunflower Steve. Sunflower's the happiest of flowers. Did you keep that beautiful log seat that fell off the tree? I did not keep that great big piece. It was prohibitively heavy, but I did bring some of those log sections to have as seats or plant stands in the back, and certainly right now in a place of prominence on my mantle is the wood bowl I had made. Does your new neighbor have squirrels like the other ones? It has lots of squirrels. It doesn't have, but not so many that they're in my immediate vicinity, because I don't have those. First of all, I don't have a garden yet. And secondly, I just don't have a lot of those oak trees in my immediate vicinity. But I anticipate that will change very shortly, and that they will hunt me down and they will find me. What are your new favorite places to walk to in your new area? I'm also in Oklahoma City. I just am really loving to explore a lot of the pubs and bars, and different places like that I haven't been to. And there's new coffee shops and things like that I haven't been to before that are within walking distance. And the other thing that I'm really going to start researching, I haven't walked to Plant People yet, which is there on Hudson, the house plant store. And there's other places along there I have not explored yet. I want to do that. I want to walk to the Oklahoma City Art Museum because I love art museum shops. I want to find out more of the thrift stores, Stuart, that are in this area. And we haven't done it in a while. And we are going thrifting next week, Stuart. We have to go thrifting because I have more wall surface that I want to cover. And in particular, I want to, if you may, there was one we went to not too long ago that I found a powwow image painting of that I just love for $52. And I want to go exploring some more thrift stores. How did I meet Stuart? Stuart and I met because of Southern Living. and Southern Living Plant Collection when we were doing dedicated videos for them and for the Southern Living Plant Collection. And then we started, gosh, Stuart, we started doing all sorts of stuff, Channel 4 and different advertising videos for people, and YouTube, and and now he can't get rid of me.
Nope. Nor do I want to.
Even if he wanted to. We're family now. He can't get rid of me. So there's
I guess this is a question I can answer, and unfortunately, no. I wish more so than yeah. I've got more house plants than I did when
you do,
Linda
and you've got orchids, and I think that that I do think we need to get you a Chinese snowball by Burnham. But in his defense, he gets to experience mine very vicariously.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, on a daily basis. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, Deborah, you have the right attitude. Linda, we'll follow your lead. I'm glad I have your book, but I can't unsee what's been done. It was upsetting, and I do understand. I know some people said that they couldn't follow her; it was just too upsetting, and then other people are following because they that they want to see how it changed. So I do, and I don't want to sound callous, and I don't want to sound insensitive, and I don't want to sound, most of all, disloyal to the fairy tale house. I don't want to feel disloyal to it. I was a good steward. I wrote a book about it. I raised my family there, and it's being taken care of beautifully. And that's the best I can do. Where did I get my beige dishes? I love them. Sandra, where did I get those? I got them for Thanksgiving a long time ago, and I think I got them at Target, and I just love them. And I need to set the table for Easter. Do you guys want me to set my table? I'm not sure. We've actually been invited to a party in the neighborhood of an Easter, some friends of ours that live in the neighborhood, Stuart, that Jamie has known since he was young, went to high school with them, and they have a big Easter party. They're going to have a couple of lambs that they're going to cook, and and that will be fun. So we may go over there since I'm still kind of unsettled here. Rogine loves the live video very much. Cody wants to know, what do I look forward to most at the cottage home garden? This may sound strange, but all of you will understand because I think you're strange like me in this respect. And that is just the wandering around and looking at what's coming up, what seeds have germinated, and what new plants are thriving, and what kind of unexpected successes I have, and and noticing the play of light. Like, okay, I love this neighborhood. So right now I'm looking out the wavy windows of my diamond windows in the parlor, and there is a group of cyclists that cycle about once a week, of about 50 people in the neighborhood who all get together and cycle. And some of them have their kids on the back, and it's just, they wave to everybody. Everybody knows who they are, and it's just charming. I've said that a million times, but it's just charming. And I can see a lot of them do their marketing on their bikes because they've got their straw baskets on their bikes. So they go to the farmers markets and they do it's a very European quality of life. Question, what percentage of your garden is pre-planned on paper, and what percentage happens along the way? I would say, I've said it once, I've said it a million times, each part of the garden, tells me what to do next. That's a great question, Sherry Alberton. The infrastructure is kind of planned on paper. And even now I'm even changing the infrastructure a little bit. The infrastructure, let me put it this way. As soon as I see the house, I kind of have an idea of, and you guys understand this so much because you use this term too, visual weight. So I have an idea about where I want the visual weight to be, and which side will have the predominant visual weight. and I see that in my head and where I want height. And then I look at it in terms of line, shape, and form for my kind of gardening infrastructure. And that I saw almost as soon as I saw the house. After that, I communicate that, like with my friend Roger and my friend Marquette, whose garden I kind of patterned it after, and my friends Kayla, and we kind of work up something that goes, that goes on paper. And so once I kind of get the infrastructure in place, starting with the patio and the trees and the hollies that are on the west side of the property. So that's the beginning of the infrastructure, and I'll put in the rest of that, and then that will tell me where to go next. In addition to all of those plants in my backyard, Stuart, you guys have got to watch the video after this one. Stuart said, he said, there's a lot of humor in this, Linda, because it's just,
well, if y'all,
you were, the bottom line, Stuart, you were just making fun of me. You were just, tell the truth.
It's a fun video. It's a fun video.
You were just making fun of me because I probably was frothing at the mouth. I was so excited. I really was so excited. And yes, I'm very, very fortunate. You betcha says, Sydney is doing a beautiful job. The new kitchen is going to be beautiful. Sydney appreciates the woodwork, but Sydney is not a boxwood person. And her dog is blind and goes outside. So you never know what is going to inform somebody's decisions and their taste. And Sydney's a friend of mine. And like I say, I was thrilled that they bought it because she has great taste, but it will be different. And pretty soon
I love her taste. Yeah, she has.
Yeah, she's got great taste.
Yeah, I haven't even seen the inside of her house yet. Yeah, her old interior was one of my favorite things.
Great. And it's different than mine, and she'll probably do a lot of things not the way I would do it. But she is.
Yeah, right. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but it's just her husband and her dog, and they both work full time. And me, I was raising a family, and it was completely different. So, do you know Mark Mount of his garden channel? I do know of his. I haven't been able to watch it a lot. I just
I gotta make a thumbnail for today's video. Jeez.
Yeah, you need to get on that.
I'm sitting here doing this.
Yeah. We have not regretted downsizing, modernizing, or moving to a smaller town for 1 second. Best thing. I think intuitively you begin to know. And I talk about this some, and probably this isn't a gardening topic, and I know some of you won't want to listen to it, but I think that when you grow older, you grow wiser. And when you grow wiser, you just know more. And you intuitively start making the right decisions. And it requires less bravery than you think in the moment. You know, when I was 10 years younger, I would have thought that this would require great bravery to do this. And now, in retrospect, especially since the heavy lifting's been done, it just seems to me like it was a no-brainer. How could I have not moved to this precious, precious cottage? And yes, I do call it a cottage. Some people say they wonder why I call it a cottage. It just screams cottage to me. And by the way, the roof line was informed by a previous owner. I think it was like the very first or the very second owner of the house. I think the very first. And she and her husband traveled to Europe, and they traveled through Scotland and Ireland and the English countryside, and she fell in love with English cottages. And so she came home, and her husband built this English cottage with the English roof line. So that's how do I find pictures of the old house? Who to follow?
I think this was a good opportunity to sell the book, right?
Yeah, to sell the book. Yes. Lots of pictures. But that said, go to my Instagram account. Oh, there's tons of stuff. Go to YouTube. Yeah, most of all, go to YouTube. Oh my gosh, there's just so much stuff. Okay, Stuart. Stuart, you are a little commercial demon. But
there we go.
Yeah, lots of pictures of the potager, all sorts of stuff in the book. And if you're mourning the loss of the potager, you can look in there. Love your beautiful surprise. Love your channel, Libris, along and plant a garden. Chelsea is a natural. Sydney is fearless. I would agree. Did you keep? So yeah, no. So I just, everybody is living their best big bad life, including me. Well, I have a water feature. Lots of people ask me that, and I'm not sure. Stuart comes into play a little bit because he's got such a mosquito. He's a mosquito.
Oh, that's sweet.
I'm not, and because they require a little more maintenance. But I so understand all of you who say that, and I'm not sure. I definitely need I need a bird bath, and but I tell you, I have so enjoyed sitting here in the morning and looking at the birds. And there's some new varieties here that I have yet to identify. Tubbs is my bird person. Oh, I tell you something else that I'm doing that's so charming, and then we may have to wrap it up, Stuart. People are sick of me.
Well, yeah, well, I've got to get this. Well, I mean, they're not.
And you got to get the video up.
Hold on. That's the reason. But I can tell you for a fact they're not sick of you. We're holding strong at 2.8 thousand.
Do you think any of your neighbors dislike the public attention you bring to the neighborhood? On the contrary, I think they really like it. And I think they like it because they moved here because they like the sociability aspect of it. And there might be some, but so far, all I have gotten is just a great big warm embrace. And will I share my gardening secrets? And like my next door neighbor to the east of me, redoing some stuff on her house. I spoke at Impact Oklahoma last week, which is a wonderful women's organization that does great nonprofit work here in Oklahoma City. And she's a member of that organization and is the mission director for St. Luke's Church up the street, and a beautiful, magnificent Methodist church. And so now I think I'm going to join Impact Oklahoma. And so it's already impacted me, and hopefully I've impacted them. So it's a great synergy. It's great neighborhood synergy. So far I don't think so. And I'm not going to pretend like my having a beautiful garden does not help raise all boats. So having a beautiful garden raises the property values of everyone around me. You guys know that. You have beautiful gardens, and you know that it's a community gift. And so no, they have embraced me just in a very, very loving way. And I know people say, huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
I know a lot of people say, how can you stand the attention? How can you stand it? Well, if I don't want to engage, I just wave. And because a lot of people say, hey, Linda, they'll drive by. We love your channel. Hey, Linda, welcome to the neighborhood. And if I don't want to engage, I just look down or I go to the backyard, just like I did at the other house. So, okay. I wanted to say,
and there's two things we got to do. I have a name here. I'm going to do the thing where I can get the name for the gloves you want to give away.
Oh yeah, yes. Oh my goodness.
So I'm glad there's still almost 3,000 people here.
Find out what we're going to give away. Okay, we're going to give away.
We didn't really spell that out the whole time, so sorry.
Yeah, we're going to give away. Who has won the cool job?
Well, I got to run it. So if you want to go ahead and start concluding, I will text you a name once I get it through the.
Wait, I have to answer this one. Lisa Jacqueline said, you don't look like Helen Mirren. No, I don't look like Helen Mirren. She looked like Helen Mirren. And she was a beautiful woman. I think Helen Mirren's just gorgeous. And she was a beautiful woman, and she looked like Helen Mirren. I'm not quite there yet, that I would be so lucky. Okay, so Stuart, who wins the gloves?
All right, it is. There they are. Bamboo.
There they are here. And there's, how many are in here? Oh my gosh, there's 6 pair in here, Stuart.
And our winner today, and I'm gonna put her on the screen so you can pronounce her name since I'm so horrible. Okay.
Sharon Dallum. Linda, thank you so much for what you do. I'm learning a lot. Thank you. You are the best. May God continue to bless your family. Thank you, Sharon. And Sharon, may you send your name, address, and information, mailing contact information to us at support@lindavotter.com. support@lindafodder.com, and we will get these in the mail to you. And I think we were going to give away.
Let's make sure Sharon's still here first. So if Sharon, if you're
Sharon,
here,
are you still here?
Go ahead and comment and let us know you're here, because we'll have to pick somebody else if she's not. So go ahead and keep talking, and we'll give her a minute.
Okay, we'll give her a minute to respond. I think we were going to give away some high C boots, and honestly, I will do that next time, because if you guys want me to do another one of these, because it just got overlooked. I know it may seem like we have lots of support to run this channel, but it's really just. It's really just me, Stuart. Matt helps with the photography, and Phoebe helps some, and Carrie helps some, but not full time. So a lot of these things, if they fall through the cracks, it's my bad. It's not anybody's fault. Well, it's our bad. Yeah, it's Stuart's fault. Yes, exactly. It's Stuart's fault. Stuart, do you need to pick?
Sharon. Well, I'll tell you. Yeah, I mean, I tell you what. If you want, just because we got so close to the end, we can pick somebody else, and if Sharon chimes in, we can just ship her some too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So right, go ahead and pick somebody that you know is.
I got to run it back through. I'm not trying to be picky here. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you have to run it back through, but if people that are still on.
So give me it take about a minute here. So feel free to do what you want.
Got to run to volunteer. Nice seeing you. Yeah. Yes. See, people need to get outside, Stuart.
All right. Here's our winner.
Okay.
So if they're still here, this is our winner.
There's Brenda Kedja. Brenda Kedja.
Are you still here?
Are you still here, Brenda?
And there's 3,000 people almost still here. So we're going to find one of them.
What did he say? 3,000? Really?
2.8.
Oh my gosh.
Sharon answered. Somebody said Sharon answered. I missed it. Oh no, I knew that was going to happen.
Yay,
so Sharon. Now we got two.
I think we'll
do both. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to do it.
So both Brenda and Sharon, please to support at lindafodder.com. Send us your mailing information.
Brenda's here. So yes.
Okay, Brenda.
So both of you email us at support at lindafodder.com.
Yes. Both of you, please send us your name and address, and we will get them off to you. And we haven't been doing these as frequently, but I think we made up with a long YouTube live today. Yeah, for obvious reasons. So thank you guys. I love all of you, and I mean that sincerely. Your comments mean the world to me, your sweet messages. And I know so many of you, one last thing, so many of you send me cards and gifts, and it really means the world to me. And I can't respond to all of them, but just know that I really appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks, guys. Make sure to tune in to today's Sunday show. We'll see you later.